Welcome to another Kali Tutors tutorial series. In this tutorial series, we'll be focusing on ENN1504 portfolio. If you are new to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to get access to the latest public videos the moment that we upload them. If you'd like to get access to our private videos, please click join to become a member. In this tutorial series, we'll be looking at the following topics. We'll discuss the aim of the portfolio. We'll discuss what you need to expect with regards to the portfolio. We'll look at some of the tools that you'll need to successfully complete the portfolio. We'll discuss previous portfolio exams. We'll look at the exam format. We'll discuss previous questions and possible solutions. And when they finally release the exam for this year, we'll discuss the questions, analyze them, and give you tips on how to go about answering this year's portfolio. Okay? So, what is the aim of this portfolio? What is the aim of writing the portfolio? The portfolio is basically your exam. So they will want to know that you have mastered workplace English. This basically means you've mastered how to write an email, how to write a memorandum, and how to write your investigative report, among others. Okay, so when they are testing that, they look at whether you understand the type of content that must be included in those different types of correspondence, the structure, the style, and that the language is accurate. Remember, at the end of the day, this is English. You must write proper English sentences. Okay, so the main aim of this tutorial session is to focus on language accuracy. We'll deal more with the content, structure, and style in the next few videos. Okay, so what should you expect? Okay, so the portfolio will only contain questions that were part of your assignments. That has been the culture of this module for the last few years. Since your assignments had questions on memorandum, minutes of a meeting, and investigative report, that is exactly what you should prepare for. Okay, you can use other materials such as your assignments feedback to look at how to correctly compile these documents. Okay, so they will give you a duration of about 2 to 3 days. If we look at the duration for 2021 October November, students were given 2 days. Earlier this year, during the May June exams, students were given 3 days. So you should expect between 2 and 3 days. They can either allow you to choose between handwriting or typing, or they can force you to actually type. That will depend on whether this year they are kind or not. So if they allow you to do handwriting, we're not going to help you with that. We're only going to be focusing on typed portfolios. So when we do later videos, we're going to do everything with you. We'll show you what you need to include as your cover page, all the way to your plagiarism document, and also the content. Okay, another very important aspect is that you need to understand that your portfolio mark will count like 60% towards your final mark. So for example, if your class mark is 45, I don't mean that most of you have like less than 50. It's just a random number. Okay, if your class mark is 45 and your portfolio exam mark is 80, this is how they're going to calculate your final mark. They will say 45 times 0.4 plus 80 times 0.6, and in this case your class mark would have worked against you, since you'll get a mark lower than the distinction, while in the portfolio exam you actually got above 75. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. Now let us look at what you need in order to successfully complete this portfolio. 1, you have to download your study guide if you haven't downloaded it already. You don't have to read every page of the study guide, but you have to download the study guide. To improve your language accuracy, you'll have to use paraphrasing tools. Paraphrasing tools will help you a lot. They will make sure that you don't have errors in your grammar and stuff like that. Okay, we'll discuss this in more details in the next few slides. You'll also have to access your assessment feedbacks. They are normally posted on additional resources, so you can look at that from my UNISA. You'll also have to download your PowerPoint presentations, which are also included in additional resources. And lastly, this is optional, you can have access to previous assignments and their feedbacks, okay, to sort of use them as a memo or as guidance before you attempt to answer your portfolio exam. Okay, so let us look at sections of the study guide that are really important for the purpose of this portfolio. Okay, so we have like a number of pages that you should look at once you have access to your portfolio exam, or before you get access to your portfolio exam. This is basically up to you, but I think if you have 2 days, you don't really have to go study this beforehand. For example, if maybe the portfolio exam has only 2 questions, one of them is on memorandum and the other is on the investigative report, then you will have wasted your time reading on minutes. Okay, so I'll suggest that you look at these particular sections once you have access to this year's portfolio. But we're gonna discuss how to write a memorandum, how to go about writing meeting minutes, and also we'll look at the investigative report using previous portfolio exam questions. Okay, so don't stress about that, we'll discuss that. So when you go back to your study guide, you are actually better equipped. You just go in there for reference. Okay, so yeah, this is basically it. So to study about your memorandum, how to write a memorandum, or to look at the structure of a memorandum, you should go to pages 11 to 14 to understand what meeting minutes are. You'll have to read between page 32 and page 38, and lastly to understand how to write an investigative report, you'll have to read from page 46 all the way to page 16. But most of these pages are really not that important. If you have a clue as to what an investigative report is, just look at page 57 to page 16. Okay, so that is basically it. So the number of pages that you'll need to read when you're looking at the investigative report, if you're reading the whole thing, it's about 15 pages. If you're reading the whole thing about minutes, you'll have to read about 7 pages. Okay, so let us look at paraphrasing tools, and then we'll discuss why we need paraphrasing tools. Okay, so the most important thing that paraphrasing tools help us with is actually language accuracy. Okay, that is basically the focus of this video, language accuracy. Your exam will test you on content, structure, style, and language accuracy. So these paraphrasing tools will help you get maximum marks in terms of language accuracy. Okay, so we'll discuss content, structure, and style in the next videos, like I've already said. But here I'm gonna show you how to use paraphrasing tools to get good marks for your exam. Okay, so I've actually when you use when you use your paraphrasing tools, your text will have like error-free grammar, the spelling will be on point, and the punctuation should be correct. Okay, so there are three tools that I recommend. The first one is called paraphrasing tool, which you can access on the website that's written next to the text, paraphrasing tool. So it's basically paraphrasing-tool.com. Okay, if you go to that website, you'll get access to this tool. It is actually free. The next one is called QUILLBOT, and it is also very powerful. So my personal preference is the first one, but this one is also good. Okay, Grammarly is popular, but it has a lot of shortfalls. So basically, I wouldn't recommend you using this one. Instead, I'll suggest that you use these first two. And in this video, we're only gonna focus on these two. Okay. So let us first look at QUILLBOT, and then afterwards we're gonna focus on the paraphrasing tool. Okay. So what are the advantages of using QUILLBOT? Okay, the first one is that the fluency option is free and is very accurate in preserving sentence meaning and improving grammar. That is what you want to do. You want to improve your grammar. Okay, you want the meaning or the sentence meaning to stay the same, but the grammar needs to improve. So you can do that with your QUILLBOT. Okay. But be careful, don't use the standard version. The standard version will mess up your sentence, okay? It might lose meaning, okay? Then another advantage of using QUILLBOT is that if you copy your text, the output directly from your QUILLBOT and paste it on your Word document, it won't give you problems. You'll get the text the way you expect it to be, okay? However, with other tools like your paraphrasing tool, that is not the case. You still have to do additional stuff in order to get your text to look the way you want it to look. Okay, so what are the disadvantages of using QUILLBOT? Okay, the standard option often loses meaning, sentence meaning. The free version has about a limit of about 125 words, so that means you'll have to copy by paragraph. You'll copy the first paragraph, paste it on the QUILLBOT tool. After doing that, you take your text, put it on Word, move to the next paragraph, and so on. So it's kind of tedious, but it's very beneficial in terms of the marks that you're gonna get at the end. Okay, another problem is that the QUILLBOT tool might actually use contraction instead of full words. For example, it can write don't instead of do not. And when you're writing formal language, we do not use things like don't. We do not use contractions, okay? I've actually included the definition here for contractions, so if you're not sure what a contraction is, okay? Another problem with the QUILLBOT tool is that it uses American English instead of UK or South African English. For example, in South Africa, we do not use offense like this offense. So our offense has a C, not an S. But if you use the QUILLBOT, even if your sentence had offense written the correct way, or the output will give you an offense that is actually not correct. So you need to be mindful of that. Another problem, if you notice, in South Africa, when we write analyze, we do not use a Z, we use an S. This is the UK style. But when you're using your QUILLBOT, it will give you output in US English. Okay, so those are some of the problems with QUILLBOT. But when it comes to fluency, when it comes to correct grammar, error-free grammar, it will give you the best results. Okay, let us look at the output from QUILLBOT. Okay, so this is basically what you're gonna get in their website. So this text here on your left is the one that I actually pasted. So this is a paragraph that I took from minutes. Okay, so this student had written these minutes, and then if you compare these two paragraphs, you will see that the one on your left is actually more fluent than the one on your right, sorry, is more fluent than the one on your left, just because we use the fluency tool or the paraphrasing tool. Okay, so if you read this, you will see. Let us just read the first sentence. On the left it says, Mr. Nene suggested that through discussion with the SRC, they had come up with a draft intervention strategy in which offenses are coded amber for serious and red for severe offenses. Okay, if you read this, you can tell that something is wrong. The structure, the sentence structure doesn't really flow. But if you read this one, the flow or the fluency is different. So let's read it. It says Mr. Nene suggested that through discussions with the SRC, they had developed a draft intervention strategy in which offenses are coded as amber for serious and red for severe. You see, this student had on the left, the student had repeated this text or offenses, and then in a way that made the whole sentence like to not sound as fluent as one would like. So if a student had actually written his text like this, I would have given them like higher marks compared to the one who wrote this text on the left. Okay, so you can see there is some sort of improvement in terms of the language itself, and it has included some of the things, new words and so on. When you're using this tool, it's important to understand that if you see a text that is written in, I think this is orange, I'm not good with colors, that is a changed word. If you look at the bottom, on your bottom right, it gives you the code. So the text in orange, it's what changed words. Okay, so if you see something that is in yellow, it's structural changes. If the word structural changes, if you see text that is written in blue, it's the longest unchanged words. Okay, so here with this example, I had actually, if you go to the top here where my mouse is, you'll see it there is this here, there is this thing that where you can move, where you can change the synonyms. If you want the tool to use a lot of synonyms, okay, you will move this thing here to your right. Okay, so in this case it's actually at the lowest, so I want the fewest synonyms to be used. Why am I doing that? I don't want to change this. I'm not trying to cheat or anything. I'm just trying to improve my text. So I want minimal use of synonyms. I just want it to sort of refine my text. Okay, so when you increase that, for example, you see now in synonyms it's actually medium, so it will increase the number of synonyms used. This is the same text as the previous slide, but if you read it, it's sort of like different because I've increased the number of synonyms that the tool can use. Okay, it will still give you a fairly good response, and it will still give you a good response, and your sentence will still be good. Let's read the new sentence. Okay, so it says Mr. Nene said that the following discussion with the Mr. Nene said that following discussions with the SRC, they had developed a draft intervention approach in which offenses are rated as amber for serious and red for severe. Okay, it is still much better than the one on your left, but it preserves the meaning. If you read the two, you'll see that okay, it says the same thing but it in a better way. Okay, so this is how you use your paraphrasing tools. You can increase this even further, but the more you increase synonyms, it sort of like loses your, it may sometimes lose meaning. Okay, it may sometimes lose meaning, but in this case I don't think it does. Okay, so if you look at here, we had 95 words, but after paraphrasing we had 84 words. That means there were sort of like 11 words that were redundant that we did not really need to use. Okay, so let us look at what will happen if we increase the synonyms. Okay, okay, so it actually preserves the number of words when we're comparing this with the previous slide, unless these two are the same picture. No, they're not the same picture. Okay, so even if you read this one, you'll see that it still sounds much better than the one on your left. So we're not gonna waste time on this. Let us look at the second paraphrasing tool that I recommend you use. Okay, so what are the advantages of using the paraphrasing tool? Okay, it's called paraphrasing tool, remember. So this is probably the best in terms of retaining sentence meaning and being grammatically correct. Okay, it does not change the output to US English. While these are while this tool is actually advantageous, it also has some drawbacks. For example, when you have to copy your text from the tool and to paste it on your Word document, it will collapse spaces between the full stops and the first letter of the next sentence. Okay, that is one of the most annoying things about this tool. Okay, I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, and it also does not highlight the text that has been changed or retained. Okay, another advantage, even though I have included it as a disadvantage here, is that it has a limit of 10,000 characters. So in most cases, 10,000 characters are actually more than 125 words. Okay, in most cases, not always the case. So you can actually paste longer sentences there. Okay, so what does it look like then? So when you go to the website, you will find these two options. Okay, so here you don't have an option to increase the number of synonyms and whatsoever. It will automatically paraphrase for you. You can click either basic paraphrase, which is the most accurate one in terms of our purpose. Okay, then it will give you a better structured text. Okay, so let us read the first sentence. Okay, and maybe you can compare this to the output from the previous tool. Okay, so it says here, Mr. Nene. Notice that it has also included the full stop or the period here after Mr. In the previous tool, we did not get this. So this is the correct way of writing Mr. Okay, it says Mr. Nene suggested that the SRC had developed a draft intervention strategy in which offenses were coded. Okay, in which offenses? In fact, it actually changes, which is annoying. It actually changes this. This is actually the first time I've realized that it actually changes them from UK or South African language to US, because the offense here and the offense here are totally different. Okay, so it also has that as a negative thing. Okay, but in terms of the grammar, it is one of the best. Okay, let us read this sentence. So Mr. Nene suggested that the SRC had developed a draft intervention strategy in which offenses were coded, with red denoting severe offenses and amber denoting serious offenses. Okay, so if you were to compare the different languages or the different sentence structures for these two, you will see that this one, okay, but I think this thing is sort of like subjective, but I would prefer this output here. Okay, so basically these two are more or less the same, and they are one of the best. So if you can use either paraphrasing tool or the QUILLBOT to do your proofreading for you once you're done with your assignments, then you should be good. But be careful of the contractions and also the change in terms of South African English to US English. Okay, so when you copy this is another drawback of using paraphrasing tool. When you copy this text here and you paste it on your Word document, it will look something like this. So this will simply mean that you'll have to to open the spaces here. Just click on this, open a space, click on this, open the space, and click on this, open the space, which is annoying, especially if you have longer sentences. You'll have to do it like several times, which is annoying. Okay, so thank you for watching this part of the tutorial session. In the next tutorial session, we'll be focusing on previous assessments. We'll have to discuss the other three aspects. We'll look at the content, we'll look at the style, and also we'll look at the structure. Okay, so yeah, thank you.